Part 1. Now, I kind of wanted to talk about my whole situation, not to bitch and complain, but just to kind of share my thoughts on the whole subject. I mean, for one thing, like, yes, as I mentioned, I'm not going. And I know other people probably are just like me, and they're pissed as well, and I don't blame them. I think we all, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who wish they could go to Nats and they can't. I just, I will say, though, if I were to give any advice to people who are looking to go to Nats, my biggest piece of advice would be plan ahead. Definitely plan ahead. I would not be able to emphasize that enough because I realized the hard way how important that is. I mean, one could argue, yes, money is the big factor. That's going to be what decides whether you go or not. But if you think about it, money isn't going to mean jack if you're not prepared to, like, with, who you're going to travel with. If you don't have a plan, any kind of plan, you're most likely screwed. I just, that was kind of what happened with me. The problem I had was I waited kind of till the last minute. Yes, granted, I did ask a few people, weeks, like, at least a month before the event, whether I could join them, and it didn't work out. But it's maybe if I had thought about it more, like who I could travel with and stuff, that would have helped. Though also another thing I think that was a, a big contributor, and another thing I just stress: make sure that, like, if you're like me and you're looking to go to Nats, be careful about getting a job as a camp counselor or working at a day camp. Because unfortunately, the kind of job I have, as much as I enjoy it, I realize now that it prevents me from, like, kind of doing exactly what I want to do. Because now it's like, because this year I noticed a lot of my friends are traveling not on Friday, but much earlier because it's like a much longer drive, and that creates a problem for me because I can't take any time off. It's just I take time off, I'm in trouble. And I kind of wanted to take time off just so I could, like, participate in the last chance qualifiers, but like, it's just I just want people to kind of uh, not I don't want to see people make the same mistake I did. I don't want to see people, who could afford to go to Nats, not go because they did something silly that and they didn't plan ahead and they weren't thinking straight. Whatever happens, it's fine. And I think it's nice in a way that people are trying to raise money somehow, like they're using YouTube in a way. For example, Noel the Divine One, he's selling decks and everything. I think that's cool. I can understand why someone would do that. If you really want to go to NAS, if you really want that experience, I really want that experience. Of course, I do wonder if the experience is worth it, whether you have your invite or not. It's just interesting. I just keep thinking about it. But I don't know. Looking at it now, I feel like I'd probably be happy. I'm probably better off not going. Though I'd be lying if I said I'd be lying if I said I'm uh, I'm not gonna be, like, jealous of all the people going. I'm telling you, this weekend I'm gonna be wishing I was there, and to an extent. But regardless, just all right. But regardless of my personal experience, what do I think about, like, the field? Now, first I want to talk about just with all the different decks. Now, you obviously, or at least some of the decks. I may talk about more in the video I make tomorrow. Obviously, a lot of decks are going to be around. You're probably going to be seeing a lot of rogue decks, but I don't remember when the last time I saw, like, a real rogue deck make it to, like, the top 32. I'm sure and I mean, I guess with the exception of Jarrell Winston's Lightsworn Monarch deck, that I would definitely consider a rogue deck. Just because it's not, like, you know, it's completely original. Um, it's just, obviously people are going to be jumping on the bandwagon, which, as I've mentioned before, I don't find to be a bad thing in a way. It just really depends on the deck. Like, right now, probably the most popular deck I would say is X-Sabers. Some might argue it's Infernitites, but I still say it's X-Sabers because I see more people running X-Sabers, and I've also noticed that people aren't as thrilled about running Infernitites because the deck is so good at times that you hate it. X-Sabers are good at it for justifiable reasons. You can get amazing hands, and you have search power thanks to Dark Soul. Plus, because Dark Soul, there are numerous ways to special summon it, you can just do amazing things with it. However, there's still, what always seems to kind of, I guess, uh, bother people is just, how amazing Dark Soul is. But again, it's just my whole thoughts are just that it's just a great deck, and it's probably going to take up most of the field. Second will likely be Infernitites, because let's be honest, these are the two most popular decks, but maybe I'm wrong. I think Gladiator Beasts are going to do pretty well. If they win, I'd be really surprised, but they can still beat X-Sabers, and they can still beat Infernitites if they get the right cards and they're able to be aggressive right away. Um, Frog Monarch, I know I said like people kept saying it should have won the YCS Virginia, but here's the thing, and I've been wanting to say this for a while. Frog Monarchs are, to a point, kind of overrated. The Monarchs do have amazing effects, but here's the thing. The deck is completely shut down by Mask of Restrict. And when I say shut down, I mean completely shut down. Unlike most... Now, granted, there are ways to get rid of the Mask of Restrict. The problem is just that most of the time, you're not going to be able to get rid of it. Because there's only a select few cards that actually destroy spells or traps, in the deck. Most, just like heavy MST, etc. Because all the other spell trap removal effects are used through your Monarchs, which you can't summon if Mask of Restrict is out. You get the idea. I definitely think that the deck is good, but I think now more people are starting to side in that damn Mask of Restrict, which is a big problem for the deck. Herald definitely going to be up there. Though Herald, people are making all different builds of it. Some people are like, again, I'm going to just say what I said before. I prefer the Happy Herald version, where you actually use the Herald of the orange, green, and purple Heralds, just because, you use the Tethys draw engine, you get a lot more fairies. The advanced ritual art one can be a problem if your opponent does manage